What does it mean to be human? Many would say it's our ability to think and act on those thoughts using our natural bodies. But what if the body was replaced with artificial parts? Would we still be human? In my work, we're redefining what it means to be human for people missing limbs through bionic technology. Technology that allows users to control artificial limbs through their thoughts and actions. By doing so, we're creating a bionic revolution. The spark for this revolution ignited when I was 7 years old. That was when I met someone missing a limb for the first time. She was my age, living in poverty in Pakistan where I was visiting, missing her right leg and using a tree branch as a crutch. At the time, I wondered, we have the same ethnic heritage, but such vastly different qualities of life. How could that be? As I grew older, I realized that this was due to a lack of resources, a lack of advancements in prosthetic technologies, and a lack of access to them. Prosthetic devices have been too fragile, too slow, too clumsy, and far too expensive. Hundreds of patients have told us they couldn't afford advanced prosthetic devices, and when they could afford them, they would abandon them because they still lacked function. To solve these problems, we needed a bionic revolution. Creating this revolution requires two things. First, significant advancements in bionic technologies are necessary. Second, the technology needs to be made accessible to as many people as possible. And that's exactly what we're doing, starting with our bionic ability hand, a robotic replacement for a missing hand that's controlled by your muscles. However, it took years to get to this point, gaining knowledge in computer science, biology, electrical engineering, and neuroscience. I eventually earned a PhD and then left medical school to build bionic limbs because that was more fun. While I was doing my PhD, I got the chance to go to Ecuador and try an early design of our ability hand on our first patient. Juan Suquillo lost his left hand 35 years prior due to machine gun fire from a helicopter during a border war between Ecuador and Peru. After 2 weeks of all-nighters, Juan controlled the hand for the first time in front of international news stations.
Juan Suquillo es excomandante de guerra. Gracias al avance de la tecnología, hoy puede acceder a una prótesis.
Parte de mí ha vuelto.
A couple of things I want to point out. The prototype of the ability hand at the time was 3 times the size of a natural human hand, with wires going everywhere plugged into breadboards, power supplies, 2 computers, and the wall. Despite that, Juan said that a part of him had come back. He made a pinch with his left hand for the first time in 35 years. That's when I realized that if I stayed in academia, this would just end up as a journal paper. If we wanted everyone to feel the exact same way that Juan did, we had to commercialize our technology. And that's when my company, Bionic, was born. Through Bionic, we developed the bionic ability hand. Here to demonstrate is one of our users, Annika. She can control different grips just by using her muscles to open and close the hand. By flexing her muscles twice, she can perform preset grips to do precise pinching, rock on at a rock concert, or even wave with all of her fingers. Thank you. Most importantly, in the US, we expanded access from 10% of patients who could afford an advanced bionic limb to 75%. We are working towards a world where bionic limbs are not a privilege for the few, but a right for all. Making this technology the most advanced and accessible is what allowed Tina to be able to feed her granddaughter for the first time by holding the bottle with her bionic hand and the baby with her natural hand. Retired Army Sergeant Garrett Anderson, who lost his hand in Iraq, did push-ups for the first time since his Army days. And he can also break wooden boards set on fire, martial arts style. While the hand is super robust to impacts, it's also sensitive to touch, and it's the first hand on the market to provide touch feedback to users. Sergeant Anderson can grasp hollow eggshells while blindfolded without cracking them. He even told us that when he holds his daughter's hand, he can actually feel it, something he couldn't do with any of his prior prosthetic devices. In addition to people with limb differences, the ability hand is also being used for robotics all around the world. It turns out, if you're building a robot to do human tasks, it makes sense to use our hand since it's optimized for humans to do human tasks. For example, NASA put it on their humanoid astronaut robot, Valkyrie, to eventually manipulate objects in space remotely. For our own research, we put our hands on a robot dog and I had a lightsaber duel against it. We've even made the hand walk on its own, Addams Family style. Don't worry, I clearly made it out alive. And we designed the ability hand with the future in mind. With traditional muscle control, you can only switch between preset grips like a fist or a pinch. Imagine trying to play a piano or type on a keyboard without individual finger control. It would be a lot harder. With this demo I'm about to show you, I'll be able to control individual finger movements precisely by moving my natural hand in front of a camera. When I move each of my fingers, the camera tracks the position of each individual finger and accurately relays it to the ability hand. Thank you. This level of control has never before been possible for prosthetic hands. This is the next step. We're working with other organizations to replace the camera with implanted electrodes in your nerves. This would enable individual finger control directly from your thoughts, as well as feeling from your fingers that you no longer have. We have a goal that by next year, we may have our first patients playing piano or typing on a keyboard again with this technology. And then, our bionic limbs for Juan, Tina, and Sergeant Anderson will truly feel like an extension of their bodies. We're redefining what it means to be human for so many individuals across the world and eventually the universe. Welcome to the Bionic Revolution.